Hello and welcome to episode 77. A couple of episodes ago I explained a little bit how real auctions work if you're thinking of trying to get some bargains and things to look out for, things that they charge you that you perhaps wouldn't have expected. Certainly if you've been buying on eBay, buying from a real auction is quite different. Well, I found one. Here in the studio I use a lot of black magic gear and I've actually got a 1ME switcher. And I use it from that control panel. Or occasionally I use it with a Stream Deck, and I don't particularly like using it with a Stream Deck. And I've always wanted a proper hardware control panel. But the stupid thing is they cost more money than the actual switcher. So the thing that does the actual job is cheaper than the panel that controls it. And I guess that's because they're mechanical, they light up, they've got levers that do... They're just a bit of a niche product, and I don't suppose they sell remotely as many of those as they do the actual switches themselves. Well, I found an auction of, I think, Events Gear. So it's a company that probably has equipment they use for doing live events, and they were selling off quite a lot of stock. And I thought, oh, there's a hardware panel in there, I'll have a go. And I had one picture to look at, so I figured that's exactly what I want. Shall I put a bid in? Now, realistically, remember that if you see these things on eBay, they sort of go from 1,000 to 1,500 quid for a control panel, and I'm not willing to pay remotely anywhere near that because I can manage without. It would just be quite nice to have, and it's a bit of an investment, and I can always sell it again if I want to. So I put in a bid of 350 quid, and I was actually in the lead in the auction, but it didn't reach the reserve price. And of course, in an auction they don't tell you what the reserve price is, and I figured, well, £350, that was probably about my limit, so I decided not to bid anymore, and so I didn't get it. Well, when the auction finished, I got an email from them saying that that thing was still available. It hadn't been sold, and did I just want to put a bid in? So I put a bid in lower than what I put in the auction, and I stuck a bid in of 325 quid. I don't know whether they run these past the sellers or how they do it, but on the Thursday afternoon I get an email saying they've accepted the bid of 325 quid. I need to pay by Friday, as in the next day, and only then, once I've paid, I can then go and collect it. So the time scale is Thursday, they tell me about it, I've got to pay by Friday, and I collect it on Monday. And the auction house is about 125 miles away from here. Okay, so that's the thing. 325 quid. Now, the way it works is, remember in that other video, we were talking about the fact that it's not like eBay, and £325 is the hammer price, on top of which they then charge you a buyer's premium and they charge you VAT. Well, I'm VAT registered, so the VAT doesn't really matter because I can claim that back. That's okay. But the buyer's premium, obviously, I have to pay on top of that. So the hammer price on this particular one, looking at this invoice, was £325. On top of the £325 goes the VAT on that price. So £65 in this particular case is 20% VAT. They then stick on the buyer's premium. Now, the buyer's premium is a completely separate transaction, which you're paying the auction house for, £58.50. So that's nearly as much as the VAT. And then you actually get charged £11.70 VAT on top of that. So the grand total that I had to pay was £460.20, which is well below the value of the item. So that's a good deal. Because I'm going to get the VAT back, in actual fact, I've really paid under 400 quid for it. Okay, what happens next? Well, there's an address on the invoice. You take your invoice, show it to them, they give you the goods, you come home. So one of the things that they put on the bottom of these forms, all lots are sold as seen, where is, with no warranties expressed or implied. So basically, it's yours, where it is. They've not said even if it works. So if you get there and it's a completely different product, you're okay. You'll get your money back. But if you get there and it's exactly as in the photograph, except the fact that when you plug it in, when you get it back home, it doesn't work, tough. Realistically, that's how auctions work. And you can't really expect them to test a control panel for a video mixer. So switches being one product, the panel being another product, how would you test the panel? They haven't got the switcher to plug it into. So at best, they'll have plugged it in and lights will have lit up. And that's as good as it gets. So it is a gamble. On top of that, you've also got to factor in the costs of actually collecting it. Now, in my particular case, I've got to do a 125-mile journey there and back. I've also got to pay the dart charge because I've got to go across the bridge over the Thames. So all that has to be factored in. And I've done my maths and I'm well in, really. So if I get back with the mixer and it works, I'm going to be extremely happy. And I've got what I've been looking for a long time, and I've paid a reasonable price, I think. Certainly I've paid low enough that if I just don't get on with it, I can pop it on eBay and somebody else can buy it instead. If it doesn't work, well, it's a bit of a gamble, I guess. Hopefully it will work and I shall be a very happy chap. Now, today's Saturday, it's paid for, and on Monday I'm going to go and collect it, and in the video you're now about to see what I get home with. I've done my trip, I've got the thing. Came in a nice flight case. In actual fact, it's a proper Pelly case. So in actual fact, it's actually an even better bargain because big Pelly cases like this are extremely expensive. So here we go. So there we go. What have we got? So what do I have? It's got a couple of stickers on it, version of it. It's got a sticky label. It's going to take me a while to pull this off. Oh, look at that. It's going to take a while to scratch off, isn't it? But in real terms, no signs of any problems on here. I've got just a bit of glue residue to clean off. That's a bit of alcohol soon sort that out, I think. Okay, what have we got socket wise? Two RJ45s on the back. Two RJ45s. A pat test sticker. There's a connection for computer. That's pretty much what I expected. And dual power supplies, which I didn't know this particular unit had. So I need to find myself a power supply, sort out a network cable, and we should be away. So, yeah, all looks like it's working well. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Now, if I move that out of the way slightly, it's trying to connect to its previous settings, and a little network setup is lit up here, so if I prod that, let's have a look and see. So it wants to know the switcher IP address, and it's set to a different network than what I've been using, so I'll just change that. So let's try and say set 192.168.1. What should we? We'll set this one. Well, it's suggesting 201. We'll leave it on that. So that looks good. What else have we got to do? Panel DCP, static IP, use DCHP, save. It says it's acquiring the IP address. It says it's connecting to. I suspect I may have set the wrong thing on there because I didn't set the switcher, did I? Bear with me. The switcher is actually 135, so I need to do that again. Change this one to 135. Click on save. Oh, this worked. I set the IP address wrong. That's all it was. I set the IP address thinking it wanted an IP address for this. It didn't. It wanted the IP address for the mixer. Switcher, sorry. So let's just get out of all this. So, what do we got? Everything that's lit up on that screen is now lit up on here. And yep, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. What else we got? Oh, that's interesting. Actually, if you look on that, that strobing effect that you can see going over the display, in real life, you can't actually see that. That's rather good. And all the labels for everything else have come up over the top. So pretty much the labels that I'm seeing over there are reflected on here. And if I just hold down this N button, then it gets me to a couple of extra ones. So if I hold that down, hit bars, then we can go to bars. Go back to camera 1, so that's all right. That seems to be working. Right. Well, okay, I think we're going to call this one a win. The video you're seeing at the moment is exactly as I powered it up. So basically, it worked really easily. It's actually done all the things I expected it to do. If I select, let's put that one there. Yep, that seems, you know. What have I got? Well, I drove down to the auction house, which was on an industrial site. It was quite busy, and there were people picking up flight cases of all kinds of description. I think what in actual fact had happened is at the end of the auction, everything that was not sold was brought back to this particular little warehouse, and people were then picking up the remnants from that. And realistically, they gave me the flight case, asked me to sign a piece of paper, and they gave me the goods. If I'd have wanted to check anything, tough, because basically the people there had no idea what was going on. They just handed me a flight case that had got number 20 on it, which was the item I was bidding on. So I must admit, it's in extremely clean condition. It's got a couple of stickers on that I shall get the alcohol on and just pull the stickers off. But all in all, I think I've done remarkably well. So there we go. You have to be careful with auctions, but sometimes you can pick up things like that. It's a first generation Blackmagic switcher panel that will work. In this particular case, it will work the 8M1ME, the 2ME. It will also work the version 1. And as it uses a standard protocol to do it, the new current ones are a slightly different shape. They're all black, they're not grey, but this has got really nice chunky buttons on it. The one they've had for a few years that's just been replaced has gone back to having a T-bar, so this has got a T-bar. I rather like the way it lights up and tells me what's going on. So all in all, I think I'm quite happy with this one. See you on the next video. Look after yourselves, take care.